I do all this funky stuff like that. Like I keep experimenting a lot with food. There's this other amazing thing called opos, right? It's a Tamil guy who invented it. One pot, one shot. So it's everything is cooking on high heat for 2, 3, 4 whistles depending on the thing, and it's fantastic. So you get everything cooked off, especially if you've got an induction cooker. It gets cooked off. Things that would normally take 5, 6 hours, you cook off in about 15, 20 minutes.
Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I'm joined by Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, and we are going to have a very fun discussion today. Abhijit, welcome to PGurus channel.
All praise be to Jesus, brother.
Hi everyone. In the current scenario with the spread of COVID-19, the printed books are on the verge of becoming outdated, and e-books are becoming the mainstream way of reading. You can now read our e-book, Who Painted My Money White, comfortably on the Kindle app on your phone or a tab. So now, I'm going to show you how to download Kindle on your phone. Firstly, open Play Store or App Store depending upon your phone. We are following Play Store process, though the process is similar for both Android and iOS. In the search bar, type Amazon Kindle. Tap the first result to open the application page and press Install. Once installed, press Open to start the application. Use your credentials to log in. If you were already logged into an Amazon account, then you will directly reach the welcome page for the app. Tap on Start Reading and then tap on Get Started. Now in the search bar, type the book name or the author name, and it will show you the relevant results. Tap on the book and then tap on Read for free. iPhone users can buy the book at a discounted price of just Rs 199. You get a 30 days trial for the app on Android. Tap on the button. On the next screen, press Continue to reach the payment page. After entering your payment details, click on Place Your Order. Once the process is complete, it will show a message saying, "We are setting up your membership." Pressing the cross on the top right corner of the screen will take you back to the book results page. Tap on the book and then tap on Read for free. It will open a new page. Here you can follow the author and then tap on Read Now. It will now open the ebook and you can happily enjoy reading
it. Likewise. Abhijit, I see this sudden change in heart, very refreshing from you, that you're true secular and you've been a champion of Jai Shri Ram, and then you went to Har Har Mahadev, and now it is Jesus time. And I'm not, the day is not far away when the last remaining big tenet of faith will also be supported by you. But that time will come and we will talk about that at that time. But today I wanted to pique your interest on how you're coping. First of all, you're someone who likes his food. You are a Satvik, food lover who likes to have Satvik bhojan. Although the pictures that you sent along with this belied that, and through your eyes and ears and perhaps your stomach, we learned the goods and bads of all the good eateries in and around New Delhi. And I've had the pleasure of having dinner. It was a lot of fun. I mean, we've taken pictures of that. We've shared that in the past. Now, you are homebound for, this is the 4th or 5th week, I guess. And perhaps life isn't really as rosy as it used to be because you have to do all your cooking, manage all that stuff. And perhaps your canine companions are asking, don't you have something to do? Don't you have somewhere to go to? So how is it all hanging out there?
So, life has been tough because all the fine foods that I normally like, we're going through a lean season in these last 4 weeks or so, unfortunately. But I've been cooking a lot, which is a good thing because I think I'm a fairly decent cook. My mom, my friends have a very high opinion of my own cooking. So that's been happening. The great thing is all the restaurant walas who weren't willing to share their recipes with me, they've all been sharing their recipes with me. So I've got lots of restaurant recipes, which I'm simplifying, of course. You can't do that at a house kitchen. You need a
Right.
commercial kitchen for it.
Right.
So that's been happening. Of course, I stick to Satvik food only.
Mm.
No onions, no garlic. You can eat mutton and fish. That is perfectly Satvik, but no onions, garlic, and chicken are not. Unfortunately, I've had to break my taboos because such are times that, you have to eat onions, garlic, and chicken right now because of a lack of options. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, so I have a basic question. I'm a vegetarian. I've never eaten meat. And I've been told that meat itself is tasteless, but whatever spices you put in, it just goes into the fats that's absorbed in the meat. And it is that gives the flavor. How true is this statement?
That's not true at all.
Okay.
So fat is flavor,
Mm.
but remember, you can have fantastic lean meat as well,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
What happens is it's the umami content in the meat, in the blood and things like that, that actually gives flavor to meat, which then ends up flavoring your food. So I don't spice, now, even this thing about Indian spicing today, we have had two destructions of Indian food. The first was brought in by the British. Before the British came, even North Indian food, at maximum, you read all these old Persian written in Persian recipes of the Mughal courts and things like that.
Right.
For an entire kilo of meat, they had maybe a teaspoon and a half of spices, right? Till the 1700s, in fact, in the Mughal court, there was no chili. Akbar never knew the chili. Remember, Akbar, Aurangzeb, right up to Aurangzeb, they didn't even know about chilies because chilies and tomatoes only started getting popular in India after the Portuguese got them here.
Right.
So, the spice in those days used to come from pepper and mustard, either mustard oil or from mustard. That is where the heat came from. Remember, chilies and tomatoes and potatoes come from the Americas. So they took almost 300 years to reach and then to become popular.
Right. Isn't that true about onion also?
No.
Okay. Onion was...
Onion we've had for a very, very long time.
I see.
Onion, garlic, all of that we've had for a very long time. But what happens is that, the British come, and in those days, spices were very, very expensive. And they see spices are very plentiful in India.
Right.
And so, it's like when a very, very poor man comes into great wealth all of a sudden, they splurge.
Right.
He'll start wearing like Bappi Lahiri. He'll wear 100 gold chains. He'll build a house like Mukesh Ambani. He'll buy Ferraris and Lamborghini. He won't know how to drive, but he'll still buy Ferraris and Lamborghinis and whatnot. In those days, you didn't have all of this. You could buy very great clothes, but the way you expressed your wealth was through food. And so the British, they started eating 5 times a day, including tiffin and all of those meals. Because remember, in the 1700s, Britain was going through a severe famine through most of the 1700s, partially brought on by industrialization, but also partially brought on by the explosion of a volcano in Iceland, which killed off almost a quarter of the British population in 100 years, by the way. So you had all these things. So when they came and see plentiful food out here, they start eating a lot. And they spice it up a lot because cinnamon, excessive quantities of cinnamon and sugar and cloves and nutmeg was in those days the equivalent of a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Right? So first they destroy our cuisine, and then you have the second destruction of Indian cuisine, which is Nouvelle Punjabi, which is restaurant cuisine, which destroys Indian food. Everything has to have onion, tomato, ginger, garlic, and garam masala.
Yeah, so it's kind of that there's this generic paste on top of which things get put on. I completely agree with you because that has found its way into the kitchens of Silicon Valley also. We have a lot of restaurants, but the moment you say a North Indian restaurant, right, you kind of know what is going to be there, and you kind of captured all that stuff.
Yeah, but see, even South Indian food, I've seen recipes where for things like beans and stuff where you won't even use onion or garlic. You don't need onion or garlic.
You don't need that.
They've started putting that in there. I've seen, the trifecta in Tamil non-veg cuisine, Okay, the cardinal trifecta, like in North Indian food today everybody thinks that, for nahi sore that we make for, ghee rice that we make for our weddings and things,
Right.
which is counted as the one non-veg item because it has cloves, cardamom, and cinnamon. Because, in a proper Brahmin household, even that is not, it's considered a non-veg spice in that sense, you think of the trifecta as being cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon. That is absolutely wrong. In Tamil cooking, the trifecta was not cinnamon. It is something called cassia. We don't have cinnamon in India. We use cassia bark, fennel seeds, and something called kalpasi, which is a lichen that grows on rocks. Rock ka flower, patthar ka phool, kalpasi. Right? So, and this most people don't know. So I've actually gone on YouTube and seen all these popular South Indian non-veg channels that will still put all these North Indian spices in there. Garam masala. We didn't even know garam masala when we were growing up.
Right.
I mean, I hadn't heard of garam masala till I was 12, 13. Right? So there's all this nonsense that happens.
Have you tried simple vendaka with coconut season on top?
No, I make bhindi in the microwave. And this the classic Tambram Vendaka fry, for example, that is brilliant with curd rice.
Right.
I have a very simple way of doing it because, we are not allowed to put in onion into it. So what you do is you first put it in the microwave with cling film on top. So create a tight seal, steam it till it gets cooked, then open it and you put the tadka. In the tadka, what you do is you first mix chili powder, hing, and turmeric and salt with this squishy bhindi. And then you put the tadka, which is lots of oil. I prefer putting the hing directly into the oil, urd dal into the oil, and curry leaf into the oil. Pour it into this, mix it up, and then cook it open. And it becomes crunchy like you've deep fried it.
Yes.
And and it's fantastic, right? So
right.
I do all this funky stuff like that. Like I keep experimenting a lot with food. There's this other amazing thing called opos, right? It's a Tamil guy who invented it. One pot, one shot. So everything is cooking on high heat for 2, 3, 4 whistles, depending on the thing. And it's fantastic. So you get everything cooked off, especially if you've got an induction cooker. It gets cooked off. Things that would normally take 5, 6 hours, you cook off in about 15, 20 minutes.
And what is the final product?
So many final products. I eat a lot of meat, of course, but I also eat I eat lots of vegetables. I just put up the meat on Twitter to irritate people. Because it does end up irritating a lot of people. But mostly what I eat, if you look at my plate at any given point of time, 90% of it is veg. And I like the vegetable that I enjoy, but I try to cook least with is potato. Because, potato is it's such a neutral vegetable. Everybody likes it. I like fresh greens a lot. I like green veg. Mostly I go to green vegetables. So lots of different kinds of keera, palak. In North India, you've only got palak, bathua, and sometimes you get hak saag from Kashmir. In Tamil Nadu, we get about 15, 20 different kinds of greens that we eat. And, here the worst thing up north is that, the shalgam, the turnip greens, the kohlrabi greens, the greens of the mooli, they throw it away. I mean, that is
you
so
can
damn
cook them,
tasty.
right.
Not only you can cook them, you should cook them.
Yes, and especially with a dal, it is so tasty. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I use it to flavor dal, especially mooli greens or turnip greens, and dal is brilliant.
Right.
But even as a stir fry by itself, South Indian style stir fry by itself, it's delicious. And there's things that you use like what's it called? I forget the English name for it now. Okay, I'll tell you when it comes back to me.
Well, are the dogs also eating Satvik food now?
No, the dogs eat dog food. So in the morning they love curds, right? So in the morning they eat curds mixed with egg because they need to have their protein. In the afternoon, they have chicken and rice, and in the evening, they have dog food.
Okay. Well, but can you take them out for a walk? Because dogs love to go for a walk.
Yeah. So these days, both morning and evening, I'm the one taking them out for a walk.
Mm.
Before, I used to take them out in the morning, but not in the evening because I didn't know what time I'd be coming back home in the evening. So it was mostly them, my man Friday Chandu here, who used to take them for a walk in the evenings. But in the mornings, now I take them both times. And they're extremely happy ever since. I think the biggest beneficiaries of lockdown have been my kids. Because, all they do all day is keep coming and demanding scratches. And, my boy Advait, he's got this irritating habit that no matter what you're doing, he'll stick his nose into your hand. If you're typing or something like that, he'll stick his nose there and push your hand off the keyboard, which is like, chal hat mere ko khujli kar karke. Then Aparajita is she's much more high maintenance, you see. She has great delusions of royalty or whatever. So she'll first crawl up to you. She'll get up on the bed. She'll crawl up to you. Then she'll look at you for like 5 seconds or something. And if you don't scratch her immediately, it's like, and then you ignore that, and then she starts barking at you. So you bloody well get down there and scratch her. And you have to keep scratching her till she says it's enough, right? Or she falls asleep or something like that. So usually both my hands, I have to keep watching something. I can't type or anything because I'm mostly reading work mails with both my hands being one of them on my right, one of them on my left, scratching their tummies.
See, the trick is to make Advait do to Aparajita what you're doing. That way both are busy and you can get some work done.
So see, they play a lot, but see, their playtime doesn't count in my quota of scratching.
I see.
So what I do in the park is first I'll take them 10 rounds. So it's about 200 odd meters, 200 plus meters in the paved part of that park. So what I do is I walk very quickly 10 rounds with them. So that's 2 kilometers in the morning, 2 kilometers in the evening.
Right.
After that, I just let them off the leash for about half an hour. So they're playing with each other. They run a lot and they play around with each other. Because the point is to exhaust them, right?
Right.
They come home. I clean up their feet with sanitizer. And then it's just, they go off to sleep because they're quite tired. They go off to sleep for about 2 hours. But see, the issue here is the entire morning walk sequence takes an hour. The evening walk sequence takes an hour, plus 2 hours of sleep, plus say 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night. So 8 plus 4, 12, 8 plus 6 is what? About
14,
14 hours. What do you do in the remaining 10 hours? 10 hours of my day, I have to keep scratching them. The only way I can get away from scratching them is if I go into the kitchen because they're not allowed inside the kitchen. And it's not because I don't, it's nothing to do with hygiene or anything like that. It's just more that, it's very dangerous because if they're lying down there and you're carrying something hot,
right. Scalding,
God forbid. Exactly. So, so it's more of a safety thing.
Very interesting, but looks like you're enjoying your stay at home and work. How do you see the tea leaves play out? Do you think it will be like this for another couple of weeks or longer than that? What is your thought?
Look, personally, the way the graph is rising till this whole Tablighi Jamaat super spreader episode happened, if you see, we had actually contained the spread. We were flattening the curve.
Right.
Now we're not flattening the curve anymore. And till we I don't see the lockdown ending till we see at least a whole week of the curve flattening. Now, if you see in Italy, the curve is flattening, but they're still not lifting lockdown. In India, you'll have to see at least a week to about 2 weeks of the curve flattening. So my simple suggestion for anyone prognosticating the end of lockdown is just look at the curve. The moment it flattens out for a whole week, 2 weeks maybe, you will see the end of lockdown restrictions. If you look at your Arogya Setu app, you know what Modi said, that for the next week, there's going to be intensified enforcement. And after that, the colonies that behave properly will get a slow lifting of lockdown. So if you look at your Arogya Setu app, on the top right corner now, there is an e-pass saying coming soon. I suspect that e-pass is where you'll know that you're allowed to go out.
I see. Wonderful. I think there's an organized way that they are going about it. Now, these kind of elements, it's really unfortunate. There's now people trying to draw inferences that this is not something that is just like that, but it's a planned thing. And because there's one more event like this that took place, looks like in Bihar with 400 people, and another what is it called, Markaz? Markaz, and who knows what the fallout of that's going to be. I think people have to first realize that they are human beings and nobody's immune from this virus. It doesn't differentiate, it doesn't discriminate.
Look, yes and no. I would say that the rich have a much better chance of getting away simply because we have bigger houses and we can afford to do social distancing, right? I think the poor will always be a lot more vulnerable to this because they live in single room apartments in very close quarters,
right.
Lower hygiene standards and things like that. So, unfortunately, it's going to be hardest on them because in all likelihood, those are the colonies where it's going to hit the worst, but it's also going to be the colonies where lockdown will be lifted last.
Right.
So
you have a double whammy here. Right.
And if you look, the stimulus package really isn't matching up. We've seen one, I think it was Suhasini who tweeted that, the government is going ahead with the new parliament and administrative center renewal plans. The issue with that is it's a bit like the New Deal. Clearly, they never studied the New Deal, or their knowledge of the New Deal is rudimentary. They would have just read that the president ordered New Deal, Roosevelt ordered New Deal, and it recovered the economy, which, as you know, is complete rubbish. It was the social security schemes provided that allowed that propensity to consume to be increased a bit, which led to some kind of bump in the economy. And then it was the onset of World War II that really brought on excess production and things like that and got the economy kicking all over again. And, the construction projects, it was the robber barons who made money in all of that. Right. Here again, setting up a parliament who only the constructor, and it's going to be the government constructing it. The government is spending government money on government contractor. How is it going to stimulate the economy?
Yeah, that might not do it. I think there may be some other reason for doing that. It could be something to do with security. I don't know the insides of the story, so I don't want to comment on that. But overall, see, first 3 weeks, somehow people manage. But now what happens is people will start seeing the pinch because, paychecks are going to get delayed. Paychecks may not even come. Layoffs will start. India has, I think, a fairly high unincorporated industry where, like, for example, the guy who's selling, samosas on the street, all those street vendors, street hawkers, everybody is out of business. You cannot, none of the hairdressers or massage
But look,
parlors.
most companies also, they prevent putting more than 100 people on the rolls because that is when that micro, medium, small artificial classification kicks in.
Yeah.
And so they have a lot of employees that are not on the books.
Right.
So, invariably, all our labor policies end up hurting labor the most.
True.
Okay. It's this belief that all you're doing is that, what is it, about 2 or 5% of labor that's in the organized sector in India? This entire thing, the entire labor policy of India is built to help trade unions in the organized sector. 90% plus of your population who is in the unorganized sector, your labor policies actively victimize them. Not only do they prevent capitalists from making money, they also victimize 90+% of your population. But this is the kind of government policy making we have. This is what I keep saying. If before 2014, if it was only a problem of corruption, all the people in charge were good and all the policies were good, right? Then what were you on about change? And then what have you changed? You haven't systemically changed anything. You haven't changed any of the people. They're the same people. It's only the top layer of management that's changed. And the top layer of management is listening to the same bureaucrats responsible for policies in the last 70 years. What is the change?
The more you think things change, the more they seem to remain the same. Well, I think this is also reflected in the announcements that are coming out. I think there is a fair amount of churn that needs to happen. We'll have to wait and see what happens, Abhijit. And you and I have cried horse on this, and somehow it is falling on deaf ears. I don't know what is that one incident that will make people to sit up and take notice that, look, the path that is being used right now is not going to take us to the destination. But thank you very much, Abhijit, and we'll be back with more such interesting conversations. Happy cooking and stay safe.
Hallelujah.